Welcome to my video, whether you are new here or a subscriber. It's very nice to have you here. I'm not really great with the whole long-form content thing, so please excuse any mistakes that there might be. Hopefully it'll get better as time goes on. My name is Haley Rain, and I'm an artist and animator here on YouTube. I'm looking to branch out and start doing small video essays and reactions to some of my most favorite and least favorite animations and cartoons. To start the series off with a bang, we're going to go straight into one of my favorite childhood shows, The Fairly OddParents. We are mainly going to be talking about the reboot, but in order to talk about the reboot and the new one that came out, don't we kind of have to go over the first Fairly OddParents and where it all began? The first episode aired in March of 2001 and would leave a lasting impression on kids all around the world to this date. Not to be overdramatic, but it was revolutionary in terms of cartoons. The nostalgia from this show is almost unbeatable, especially when we're just talking about Nickelodeon shows in specific. I feel like the only real Nickelodeon cartoon animation that could really compete with it is SpongeBob. The things that made this show stand out are the same things that would eventually kill the show, however, and make a lot of fans lose respect for it. For me, even as a child, I actually adored how differently this show portrayed the main couple, which was Cosmo and Wanda. I remember watching a lot of Family Guy when I was younger, and just in my family dynamic as well, it wasn't very respectful towards women. And at the beginning, the pilot, Cosmo and Wanda, it was just so respectful towards women. I can't lie, I just loved it. And even as a young child, I understood the complexity of that concept, and I liked it. But in the early 2000s, this shit was like a huge trope where all men hated their wife, and the wife was so annoying. I hate my wife, all she does is nag, nag, nag. Body jokes, blatant misogyny. And then the wife was always the one cooking and cleaning and having to fix her stupid, incompetent husband's misdeeds. At the end of each night, Fairly OddParents was the exact opposite, and that's what made me respect it. Pilot Cosmo and Wanda were two peas in a pod. They weren't the brightest, but they made each other better. They were like yin and yang. They were so totally in love and swooning over each other at any opportunity. When Cosmo would do or say something dumb, Wanda was there to make him question his perception, steer him in the right direction without it feeling like she was cleaning up his messes. And when Wanda was too literal about something or being neurotic and stressing, Cosmo was there to calm her down, help her out, and help her chill. They were opposite in the cutest, most loving and endearing way possible. But this would only last for a few seasons. By season 4, the jokes went from needing each other and loving each other and being each other's other half to, my annoying wife won't stop nagging. Wanda's body's changing, all the mood swings. And to combat this, Wanda became vicious and vindictive too. And within a few seasons, we would watch our favorite cartoon couple fall to pieces, with no real reason for it, no subplot, no marriage issues, just a complete 360 for no reason on our favorite characters. I mean, even Timmy's character just changed to the point where he was almost unrecognizable. He went from a kind-hearted kid with a heart of gold, who was just in a bad place, to a little maniac that would do whatever it took to gratify himself and entertain himself, no matter who he hurt. It was like even his biggest wishes weren't that grandiose anymore. So now he had to do bigger wishes to entertain himself. Even his friends and fairies, he would even hurt them, which in the beginning was something that he did not like. He would always apologize and make his mistakes better, and I feel like he lost that as the seasons went on and on. Then they thought that they could just start throwing new characters in, and it would bring that spark back and make people interested in it again. But all we really wanted was our favorite pilot characters back, not these characterized versions of them. All of these new characters, they came off old and stale and just made us miss our favorites even more than we already did. And they did not get tired of trying to add new characters to the fucking show. And the only one that ever actually really worked was Poof. And that's because Poof wasn't just written in to pull back views. He had an actual story, a real plot, and a real personality, even as a baby. Which, this is something I'm going to get back into later, because we're going to talk about the reboot. So, we're going to get back into Poof later. And please don't even get me started on the live action reboots, Because are there even words to describe that? I mean, aside from an abomination to every unsuspecting viewer, there's not really much to describe that. But somehow, the live action almost felt like the writers were becoming, like, self-aware of what they were doing in a way. A grown-up Timmy Turner not willing to leave school and give up his fairies, it all felt very strangely reminiscent to them not allowing Fairly Odd Parents to die and milking it for years and years and years after its true fan base died out. They self-sabotaged the show. But now that we've discussed where we began, the highlights, the rise and fall of the original Fairly Odd Parents, I feel like it's time to jump headfirst into The Fairly Odd Parents: A New Wish. And I won't lie, like many other people, when I originally saw the trailer for the show, I saw the animation style change, all these new characters. I was really impressed by how they changed the world around and made a whole new set of characters and didn't try milking Timmy Turner. However, I was worried that it would stray too far from the original and turn into something that felt unnatural. I can't say enough how worried I was that this show would turn out to be just like the live actions and leave us feeling empty and wanting more. But I couldn't be happier to be so fucking wrong about a show. I have to say, after watching season 1 from beginning to end with my boyfriend, I genuinely believe that New Wish may be even better than the original. The scripting, animation-wise, the backgrounds, plot, and diversity. And this is saying a lot, as I said in the intro. The nostalgia from the original just can't be beat, but this show creates its own sense of nostalgia while also reminding you what was so special about the Fairly Odd Parents in the first place. Cosmo and Wanda are back to their pilot self. I can't explain how excited I am about that. I love it. It really shows, it really shows that they understand what their fans want now. We also get to see them switch around between their human and their fairy form, which I also love. I feel like it really shows the difference between humans and fairies, while still showing the humanity in both. I also really like that they skip a majority of the senseless violence on this show. Aside from that one episode with Vicky, which felt properly incorporated, they don't just throw in senseless violence like back in the old days. And, they don't just throw random characters like Sparky. All of it seems actually planned and plotted. And it would make sense that Dev's dad, who doesn't really care for him and was very neglectful, would just hire some random nobody without doing a background check for the kid's safety. It also makes sense why he wasn't checking in on the kids. He just didn't care. They portray many different family dynamics as well, which I honestly thoroughly enjoy. I feel like a lot of the original relied on the neglectfulness of the parents, which it's definitely a real thing, don't get me wrong. But it just felt like a cheap way to weasel the fairies in and explain why they needed fairies. But Hazel has normal childhood problems. Her brother's leaving for college, she's going to a new school, and her parents work hard and tend to be a little bit too busy. So sometimes they don't give her the attention that she's lacking and that she needs. Now that her brother's not here, she needs more. But I can't get over how much of a breath of fresh... I'm sorry if you hear my cat meowing in the background, by the way. I cannot get over... I'm sorry, that was a big pause. It's a breath of fresh air, long story short, to see them touch on more common issues that kids are facing and that they would actually relate to. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are plenty of kids that felt seen and heard from the original Fairly Odd Parents because they portrayed violence and abuse which isn't normally discussed. But it felt more like a joke most of the time than anything to actually bring awareness to it. And it also just felt thrown in there as an explanation for fairies. It just seemed like the easiest way for them to make viewers understand that Timmy needed fairies. It was easier for the show to show him getting beaten in extreme situations with his family than it was to discuss more common family issues that kids may not see as worthy of a fairy, despite them still really impacting you negatively in a huge way, mentally rather than physically, of course. I really like that A New Wish didn't need to go overboard and portrayed a healthy family dynamic with normal family issues that would cause a kid to spiral. There's so much the show did right, and I even love the back and forth between the two kids' different lifestyles and their struggles and how they use their wishes. It really shows that how you're raised and the people that you surround yourself with really affect the way that you do things and the way that you think, and especially as a child. I also really like the fact that they did a jump in time. They didn't just stay in the same city, the same era. They allowed Poof to grow up and become his own person, and Perry is by far one of my favorite characters in the whole show. He reminds me of all the best parts of Pilot Cosmo and Pilot Wanda, just smashed together, with Perry's own sense of self, his sarcasm, his wittiness, and his want to separate from his parents and become his own person, which most of us younger adults can totally fucking relate to. And he's simultaneously doing whatever it takes to make them proud of him, which is also realistic. So many of us are like struggling to separate ourselves from our parents, but we also struggle to make them proud. And all of it seems like it's touching on real issues for young children and young adults. So I'm not saying that the abuse and violence wasn't a real issue. I'm just saying these are issues that I feel like happen a lot more often. It's super interesting to watch all of this unfold, and I really can't wait to see more. Like, I need more of this show. But I do have a few critiques. Now, don't get me wrong, I know that this is a kid's show, and it really is meant to be rather mindless and just something to sit back and watch and enjoy. But they do occasionally touch on some good topics that do feel a little bit rushed through. So, for starters, I think that the episode should maybe be just a couple minutes longer, maybe 2 to 4 minutes longer. Not that much, but just enough that I feel like all the stories could actually finish and we could actually see the resolution. And I know that that'll probably never happen aside from special episodes, but in a perfect world, we would get a little bit more time to watch everything play out. Because I do think that some episodes really do just rush to a climax and end too quickly. Even for a kid's show, where we don't really get to see the full resolution to a conflict. Or at least for me, there are a few episodes specifically where I was left hoping that there was a little bit more to an ending and that it wasn't so rushed. I know it's a kid's show, obviously, and they have quicker runtimes, but I still think that they could keep it really short, 15 minutes and under, and do a better job with tying up loose ends and finishing storylines and plots, which I think they have really good storylines and plots. So if they spent a little bit more time just finishing them and cleaning up the loose ends, it could be so much better. It could be like a 100% in my books. Right now, it's at like a good 90%. I really, really like the show. I think that they could split some stuff up, because I think they have some episodes where there's just too much going on. I think it's episode 18, where we see Hazel's mom not having the time to spend with her family because of work. The apparent issue with Hazel's mom and dad not spending enough time together, and Hazel's mom's time being too split up to be with them, and we can tell that Hazel misses her mom too. And that's how the whole episode starts off. And for the rest of that episode, we mainly just follow Hazel on her adventures for the day being an adult and an assistant, how it's hard, and they spend a little bit of time together with Hazel being grown, obviously, because she's her mother's assistant now, but we never really explore the idea that her mom is just too busy for her husband and her kid other than addressing it as a problem. We never get to see how it makes Angela feel or see Hazel get to spend quality time outside of that wish. I just wish that it was split into 2 episodes where we could see the mother and father's issue as well. And it honestly just feels like their issue took time away from Hazel and her mom. So if it was split up into 2 episodes, that would have been great. Because both of those are important and honestly interesting plots. And it could have been 2 episodes. And it would have helped not just end with these quick finishes, you know what I'm saying? The first episode could have been following Hazel, missing her mom, which definitely seemed to be the main plot of that episode anyways, and then we could have a more thoughtful ending with that issue. Child Hazel and her mom actually spending quality time together, having a day to themselves, and then the next episode could have been Hazel, coming down from that, cloud 9 of getting to spend all that time with her mom, and realizing that her father is also wanting time with her mom, and she could have, noticed that and used her fairies and wished that her mom and dad could spend more time together. And then we could see the usual shenanigans unfold again. Either Wanda took the wish too literally, or Cosmo didn't take it literally enough. We could watch their usual shenanigans, and it could be a fun, lighthearted episode where we also get to see Angela and Hazel's dad spend more time together. Just a little thing like that. I feel like all of my actual, critiques for the show are just time-based. I just want to see more. Not in that way, it's I just want more episodes released right now. More I just want to see more with the actual plots that they've already created. I really, really enjoy it. So yeah, any of my critiques that I could say past this point will just be time related. So I'm not gonna sit here and just critique every little thing. Just think that they could do better with the subplots and like, explaining them and fulfilling them completely and finishing them. But, with all of that, I would like to just wrap this up because I've already been doing audios for like 20 minutes. I've had numerous interruptions and I'm gonna have to cut and slice some parts up, so I'm sorry if it sounds weird. But to wrap this up, please, please, please let there be a few more seasons of A Fairly Odd Parents: A New Wish. I'm begging. We need it. But I'm also begging that they realize when the good thing is gone, please hang up this coat when the show's time comes. So I think it's about time to wrap this up. I've been recording audio for over 20 minutes. There's been numerous interruptions from my animals, my pets, and just stuttering over words, mispronouncing words, misreading the script that I spent 2 hours writing. So, this isn't going the best, but it's my first actual long form content outside of that video where I got scammed, which I did not plan at all. I just, said everything and brought receipts. But this is my first actual long form content and my first episode in the series that I have yet to name. So that's a downside. If you guys want to help me pick out names for this series, drop some ideas in the comments below. If I pick your idea, I will so credit you for like whatever the name idea is too. I'll give you a little shout out at, the beginning of the video or, in text on the video or however I give you your little shout out. But yeah, we need more of this show. I'm begging you, please, more of this show. But I'm also begging them to realize when a good thing is gone, please just hang up the coat when the show's time comes. Don't milk it. You'll ruin the characters and make it just nostalgia like the original is. But A New Wish is so good, I could genuinely see myself coming back to watch it in the future. As long as they don't do what they did with the original and ruin it to the point where I don't want to go back and watch it. Where it will always just stay that. Nostalgia. I couldn't ever see myself going back and watching the original. It will always just stay a childhood memory that I cherish. Anyways, I've been ranting about the show for long enough. I'm sure you're all bored. Thank you for watching, and if you would like to please hit that like and subscribe button, it really does mean a lot. If you want to be notified about my posts, turn on the notifications, and with that, have a good day, and I hope to see you here soon again. I love you, and hopefully there will be a schedule coming out sometime soon so you can know when to expect more long-form content. Stay safe. Mwah. Goodbye.